which different bubble of reality is true?
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
We have just finished our Living the Mystical Life Daily live event. Today I will be joined by a number of people who were at our event this past October 5th through the 8th. It was a victory and a challenge and a challenging victory to be on the stage, the culmination of a whole year's worth of work that has brought us to Living the Mystical Life Daily. Today I'm joined first by David Wood. You run the Friends of Andrew Bartzis process. How was your experience at the show, David?
Yeah, it was really amazing to hear the stories of people who didn't even know they were going to be there until a week or two before, didn't have the funds. I was in the same position, all these obstacles coming away, and it all got out of the way, and I was able to make it there.
Outstanding. So what was you were at the first event last year also. What was the change that you saw from last year to this year?
The first year there was a handful of people that had actually done the vocations and done the work. This time there was a ton of people that had done it. The questions that were getting answered were on a whole different level. And the whole energy was much, much higher.
Outstanding. So from your experiences, what was it that you found valuable lessons that you learned?
Well, I know when I've had some experience doing the different meditations, Arc of the Matriarchs, right?
Yeah.
And had an amazing experience after doing that. And now I know I got the tools, and I'm just going to do the practical application of the teachings.
And then after the event, you went to the Grove of the Matriarchs also.
That was amazing. I usually take pictures on my camera. Everybody knows me. I got all these pictures, and I was seeing all these dragon energy everywhere, and I'm like, it was kind of funny I left my camera. But yeah, it was really powerful walking through there. Really amazing.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Very grounded.
So what were some of the other things that you got to experience from the live event? It was 4 full days, the amount of people that were there from other countries.
Yeah, it was amazing to have people come up to me and share some experiences of how that everything has shifted and everything's changed, and they're having mystical experiences right in the room that they don't even know how to explain.
Outstanding, outstanding. So anything else that you want to say to the people out there about what it's like coming to a live event?
The biggest thing I noticed talking to all the people and having them come up to me is there's people totally different areas of the world, different belief systems, and they come together and it's like they're meeting their soul family. There's people I made friends from the first event that I'm still friends with now, and tons more people at this event. It's like a soul family reunion. You actually meet those people that get you, that you can share your story with, and they can relate to.
That's very, very cool. David, thank you. We're going to move on. Sean? Okay. Now, if we don't know who this is the infamous Sean Bond. Welcome.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Coming on the show, exactly. Sean also does his own podcast, and he has come on my podcast. We just did a weather episode, doing some crazy ass conversations. Sean, well, what do you want to tell people? You were at the first event also. What was the difference between the first event and the second event for you?
Huge, huge, huge. I mean, the first event was amazing. It got me like so ready. And like level up like crazy, all these different teachings, and then I came in like super ready. I projected healings forward to the future, got everything integrated so I could take in as much information as possible. Last time it was a little bit hard because there was so much coming at me all at once, just wave. And this time I got like more into it, and I just needed a little bit of notes, and then bam, I learned all these different new skill sets, so I appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah.
And it just clicked, and then I connected with people. I had amazing experience with people. Usually I like go into places and then I get really empathically overwhelmed and I have to go into myself. But this time, like, everyone's like holding up their stuff, and then we could just like chill, and if anyone had a problem, everyone's got their back. So it was really cool. Everyone was nice. Had beautiful conversations. Everyone bringing their own pieces in the puzzle, coming in, and it was just a really big experience that reverberated into the future that will affect, I mean, every version of himself on the planet, off planet, even more so. And
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the strike, woof, that was big.
Let's talk about the consciousness strike. What has been your experience with using it?
Oh man, I've been monitoring it. So I've been like taking the numbers and names of all the beings it's affected by. Like how you said it's mostly affecting off planet because of all the interactions. But if you say one to yourself, it kind of like connects to all versions of yourself and like spreads like a love virus, because
it's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
And then their soul family, and then every untanglement through that, and it just effortless and keeps going. It's really great. It's super powerful. So it's like, what is it? A jackhammer?
Yeah, like a jackhammer instead of a surgery. It's a surgery. Yeah. So at the end of the event, I had everyone come up and read one page at a time for the consciousness strike. And as I knew I was going to do that from the very beginning, but as I heard each person's voice unfold and each person got to say something, it's brought so much power to the room. What were you experiencing during that?
I was like picking up all the information from the bravado and heart space of each person, projecting their voice and it ringing off of everyone that was hearing it. And as they were subconsciously repeating it to themselves as the person said it, it just made everything very fast and like upwell of energy that was just like building and building and building. And it was a great timing to like right after that have the big dance thing and then like get all that energy directed. And that was like when I saw the big booms of like anything that was suppressing them and holding them back. We're like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Just the energy is being lifted off from the room. And it's a culmination of a 4-day event, so the amount of teachings that you had to get into, all pack into those 4 days was like a boot camp of high frequency, high vibration.
Yeah, and you don't want to go to sleep because there's all these people to talk to afterwards and like hang out, and it's like, oh, how much sleep do we get? Oh, 6 hours. Oh, let's get to bed.
I think next year we're not going to start at 10 a.m. We're not going to start to like 4 p.m. and go to like 1 a.m.
Well, either way, man, it's like the full day. Like everyone was like willing to stay as long as possible to get as much information because get that opportunity.
Yeah, and then we had 2 extra scenes both on Friday night and Saturday night, where for those who are at the live event and by the live event video, you'll be able to see some of the excess footage where I had one of my guests, Ben Rode of the Rode Institute, put me actually into hypnosis state, and we took questions from the audience that were written down, and we had an amazing experience. What did you think of that?
I liked it. I liked hearing about everyone's experience. Every time I would ask them, like, where are you from? What's going on? How did you get here? And then they just like list things that I felt so resonant with that I had in my own experiences, and it brought up memories, and even like memories from other lives because I do that bleed over past lives, all that stuff. So, woo!
Exactly.
It's coming in.
And then we got introduced to Bob. Can you hand me Bob?
Yes.
So before we introduce Bob officially, Bob, you have been introduced. Yes. Bob came out of nowhere, and there was a interesting conversation I had with Sean afterwards from that Saturday night where Bob stumped the crowd. You care to share the story?
Yeah, Bob coming in with spiritual contracts to be a very powerful comedian plant that like emanates jokes, inspires people, and He is good at telling jokes. He's good at plant jokes mostly, but he's getting into light worker jokes, and that was where we're going into. That's fun.
I had put a $20 bill on Bob here, and there was a challenge to the audience: who could tell a better joke, a light worker joke, than Bob? And at the end of the evening, you're like, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
I must beat the plant.
Yeah, there was a lot of distractions. I was trying to like tune into ways to form multidimensional jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is a good skill set, and like tuning into the setup for it really easily and well. But the punchline is like, translation, that's not funny.
Exactly.
Come on, do more. I was just up all night, like trying to take away the champion belt from the plant. But, you know,
and then Bob was on the round table at the end with everyone else. So Bob was officially our 5th guest at Living the Mystical Life Daily.
His plant entourage.
His plantourage. His plantourage. So anything else you'd like to add? What's some of your personal experiences?
Amazing healings that would take years off the work I needed to do to like in a easy way that I could say out loud to myself and know if it's happening or not and feel it deeply. And even if I don't have the biofeedback device, which I do, and I'm like checking it, it's like, oh wow, it is working. Like,
yeah.
And then it works better than it's like this stuff has like saved my life. So like I've been like overwhelmed to near death, and so thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Bringing this out to the world and keeping it going like a locomotive hurricane that keeps growing and sucking up all the
the little TV show that could.
All the other TV shows like, oh man, we gotta. I think we should do something like that.
Exactly. So, what was your big thing for you mystically that happened from the event?
I was going into meditations like during one of your when you're being brought down and stuff, and I had like a because I like learned how to experience 2 visualizations at once. And I was going into becoming one with Source and going into the dream weave. At the same time, I was getting a visualization. One of the bigger ones was that teaching that how to wrestle. Oh, well, not really. It's like get rid of the tug of war in your heart and the parasympathetic, sympathetic, and the vagus nerve and the other light body interact. All the things that keep you from going into the visualizations and the journeying of the self. And have them come to you effortlessly in like an ink-block test of light that formulates in your mind and it comes into being and you just like follow and go into stream it. That it leads to passive discovery.
Yeah.
And that was coming out more and easier, and I put that and made that easier into my understanding. And since then I've been getting easier and easier journeys and visualizations even while just walking around.
Yeah.
And like during that, I had like this dragon show up to me, and it was like, "Hey," let down his wings, like get on
top, go for a ride.
Yeah. And we were
ride
like,
the dragon.
Yeah. We were like doing all these ducks and rolls, and it took me to all through this journey that kind of like meant me go deeper into trance. It was really cool, and it was like this inner earth place that had like this pyramid and this orb that I was like, "Hey, you bilocate here." Just touch it for about 3 weeks, and it's like, get a chair.
Get a chair. Don't stand all time.
Yeah, and then it'll integrate like more streams of knowingness so that it comes out fuller and it's easier for you to express yourself, know more, and what you're accessing in like superluminal thought.
Yeah. So one of the core teachings that you do when you're going to a 4-day event is learning how to have more than one visualization go at once. And one of the teachings that I do is there are chess masters, grandmasters of chess, who will blindfold themselves and play against 10 other players all at the same time. Each having, a finite amount of moves, but I'm only asking you to hold 3 visions at most, as opposed to 3,000 visions at once. And yes, the human mind can do that, and there's proven over and over and over again. This is all about pattern recognition. When you can engage 2 forms of visualization, the fetus and the heart, And then the beginning of the journey, you're maintaining the fetus in the heart, and then your mind allows you to journey, such as Sean was going. You have a grounded, bonded envisionment moment that means something to you, that then begins to have characters who are your guides and guardians, and not mind filling in blanks. When you are monofocused, the mind is also monofocused. When you allow 2, 3, or 4 sets of visions, a vision can be golden light coming to you, fetus in the womb, purple energy coming into your crown, that's 3, and then the vision of walking forward, that's 4. Those are simple techniques that can take a long time to master if you don't allow the fullness of your creativity and the joy that's behind it. Sean, you get a lot of joy out of doing the work.
Absolutely. I don't want to do anything else. It brings me so much satisfaction.
Yeah.
I do what my higher self is meant to do. I heal people. I help the world. I bring these teachings that have been erased mostly from history, you all the time. It's my passion. I love it. I love creating operating system. I love psionics. I love reading memory, the DNA technology. It's so much to it. Esoteric anatomy. I love when you go into that and the secret order. So much.
See, for people out there that, what Sean was like, what's he talking about? Yeah, there are times that I go, beyond what, people are ready for. Like last night at the fire, we were doing some healing, and I was showing how to read the freshest of the DNA strands of the hair, and then compare it to the DNA strands that come out of the atlas and the axis, and the difference between the two. And you're like, oh my God! If you had to share people with what you were experiencing with that.
Sure. I was finding out about something that I looked into superficially back when I was getting a large amount of attack, which were like streams of incursive energy to imprint self-defeating programs on the body, the system, the light body, or the timeline to change the timeline of a person in manifestation of their existence, such as you manifest this knee pain and it goes into something arthritis or back pain, change your stance, your visualization process is shut down, dreams don't work, whatever they're targeting, and be able to look in that in an easy process, such as a book, and open up and compare, contrast, and see what's going on there that's shady, and what is the original blueprint, and then how to make an operating system to get rid of what is not needed to be there, that's an incursion. And then since then I took off with that, and I've been doing it now, and it's just like a purging process. It's very visceral too. You feel it it leaving, and
timeline parasites.
Yeah. And
like pieces of a clown cloth that never end.
Yeah, or the tapeworm or whatever, the negative visualization. And it's just crazy because how advanced it gets, because they'll take your energy to camouflage themselves or keep you distracted in some other way to keep from getting to the root of the problem, which is
exactly understanding. And now during the event, there are times that I up the information level because I'm constantly raising frequencies. Day 1, I said I'm gonna cook you in the oven. Day 2, I said I'm gonna broil you. Day 3, I said, all right, we're bringing the next level. What was it like for you when I kept raising and raising the frequencies?
I felt it. I felt other people reacting too. There are people crying. There are people laughing out of nowhere, and it was empathically, it was a lot more going on. People were getting rid of traumas that they've held on to their entire life, and it just upwelled, and then the pressure off their heart went away, and they felt lighter, and they felt more okay with coming out of their shell and talking more with people. Some were in the hermit and coming forward. I want to hear Andrew, and I want to get the information. Yeah. Oh, there's all these people here too, like me. I'm yay, I'm not alone.
Exactly. Yay, I'm not alone. That's that soul family reunion. All right, let's take our first caller. That is Robert in the background. Robert is not related to Bob.
Not related to Bob.
What about Bob? And Bob will take questions too. So I watched the flower part.
First caller is Kazimi Chantrus.
Kazimi, your name and where are you calling from today? Hello, Kazimi. Where are you calling from today?
Portland.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing outstanding. We just had our Living the Mystical Life Daily live webcast. What questions do you want to talk about today?
Well, there was a meditation that we did that had to do with the whales.
Oh, yes.
When you played the sounds of them underwater and things.
Yep.
And I had a really interesting experience, but I didn't get a chance to ask the question. And I was wondering if I could now, please.
Sure. Let me just state the context. So inside the Living the Mystical Life Daily course, there is one teaching that is about whales, and it goes super, super in depth. And part of the experience is each person read it to another person, or they had a small group of people where they'd each read one page. And over our overhead PAs and speakers, I had Robert blaring a song line that was just whale songs and nothing else. And that was the context in which she's going to relate her experience. So go ahead and what did you experience?
Well, I was with the whales. I wasn't necessarily swimming with them, but I was there with them in the ocean. And all I wanted to do was, they felt like my children, and I just wanted to scoop them up and take them home. Mm-hmm. And it became very emotional for me. I don't have a hard time crying, but I do have a hard time crying in front of other people, and that's childhood stuff that I've already dealt with.
Uh-huh.
But it was very, I felt like Mother Earth in a sense, just wanting to take her children home.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could help me with that a little bit.
Well, there's an ancient soul inside you that has, let's just say, understood the nature of incarnations. And when you heard that whale song, combined with the reading out of that whale part of the teachings, it connected you to the higher self that looks at thousands of lifetimes. And those songs have been repeated generation after generation after generation, from the same whale pod to the same whale pod to the same whale pod to the next generations of whales. And what you were experiencing was the calling of the whales to wake you up to that experience. Literally to wake you up for that experience. Because you have been a whale in the ocean and heard that exact same song line long, long, long time ago. And it triggered you to see the greatness within. Are you there?
I am here.
Okay.
My whole body is just a huge goosebump.
Yeah, the one big goosebump.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
I want to thank everybody. It was a very awesome experience. To be in the presence of so many different people, and it was great. And I am so glad that the universe was blessing me with being able to attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What other experiences did you have from the live event?
I was experiencing a lot of irritability and anger that I didn't understand because I don't think it was mine.
Uh-huh.
I'm very sensitive, so I was having a hard time shielding out a little bit. I had to bring my energy in a lot because when I first got there, it was very out there. And everybody was extremely kind and very attentive, which was very unusual for me. So that was a little difficult for me personally to handle. But I also, you were talking about 3 visions or something going on at once.
Yeah.
I was having 4, so I was having a hard time keeping up, and I didn't know what it was. And I am a person who asks a lot of questions, and I have really good discernment. So it was, I was trying to figure everything out at once, and it became a little bit of overwhelming. But it wasn't so overwhelming that I would never come back, or I would not continue with the teachings or meeting other people through all of it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That much of an incredible experience that I really did like it.
Thank you so much.
Was awesome.
Yeah. So what was your experience at the end when when everyone was doing the consciousness strike?
I actually wasn't present then. There were some other things that were going on that I was having to deal with personally. And so I didn't get the last day.
Ah, okay.
There until Saturday evening after the documentary, the filming.
Yeah. So what did you think of that?
I thought it was excellent. I really wanted to stay and see how the inner workings were going on with the sound and the cameras, because I'm really interested in that kind of thing. And how the setup was, and I got to see behind the scenes and all of that. So it was like top rate for me. Excellent.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to bring for Living the Mystical Life Daily was I have documentary filmmakers that come to all my live events and film in front scenes and behind scenes, and I wanted to be able to people to see what it takes to put on this show, not only just the 156 shows a year that I do, but the live events, the culmination of it, and to have the documentary filmmakers there plus the live audience was just splendid for me.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. I'm very detail oriented, so to see the inner workings and everything was great. And then plus the people who were working the event with the audio and the cameras and so on and so forth, all of them were like super nice.
Yeah.
And if you asked a question, they were willing to answer and what have you. It was just a really phenomenal event.
Well, thank you. So, is there anything else that you'd like to add today?
I don't really think so. I think that the question that was really weighing on my mind or wanting to understand was the understanding of the whales, and some of the things that I'm interested in is really kind of deep and heavy, and I don't think it's an appropriate forum for that.
Well, thank you so much.
I just really, yes, I do. Could you explain when you speak of, I've missed it somewhere, stepping on others' destinies?
Journeys.
Destiny?
Other people's journeys.
Journeys, yes, sir.
So stepping on another's journey is a fine line between your free will and stopping someone from having their natural organic free will. Stepping on a journey can be telling a person a lie that puts them into deep fear for whole long periods of time. Stepping on the journey can be you cutting somebody off in traffic and that person gets in an accident and is injured. A variety of things. Stepping on a journey can be taking revenge on someone else who has done something to you, falling victim to your own self issues. Stepping on a journey comes in many forms. But where stepping on your journey gets very intricate in its understanding is when you are an aware and awake being, continuing aware and awake processes, you have far more knowledge and awareness than everyone else, and you can step on another person's journey very easily. Now, when I was on stage, I would say at any given moment I've probably killed 5,000 or 10,000 dust mites on the stage carpet. Am I going to have a spiritual court of equity and a ceremony for each one? No. I already know that every day that happens. Am I stepping on the dust mites' journey? No, they're dust mites. They knew they could be stepped on. And another example is a politician who is stepping on the journeys of others by creating rules and laws that infringe upon their spiritual and natural rights. When you're an awake and aware person, your awareness and your responsibility to your awareness determines how you can see stepping on a journey of another that creates a karma or a dharma or some kind of debt between you and something else. That's stepping on another's journey.
I understand.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for calling. We're going to move on to the next caller.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Okay, next caller is Anita.
Anita, are you there?
Yes, hello.
How are you doing today? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Bangladesh.
Ah, that's a long ways away. So what kind of questions do you have for today?
Well, I was wondering if I could get a reading, but I'm not sure if this is the right platform for that.
No,
I just joined in recently, so I'm not sure how the rules go.
No, that's not the right platform. So,
okay, great. Well, I do have some questions about dreams and outer body experiences, and what is the difference?
Big difference. An out-of-body experience is you bonded with the dreaming body, having a uniquely time or non-time based experience. And a dream is something that is occupying a specific place in space-time in the aurora borealis of the north or south pole of this world. So they can be perceived similar, but they're two different forms of perception. And perception that stores in memory is vastly different. Out-of-body experiences sometimes have cords attached to them and sometimes don't, based off of whatever it is that you believe. And there are other versions of out-of-body experiences where you're just an ethereal form, an awareness floating through space-time with no body. So those unique experiences have their own way of being stored into mind, body, and spirit as memories. True out-of-body experiences are full superluminal thinking, where there is no restriction unto the creations of instantaneous memories. Dreams require a delta state and a delta chemical response in the body to create sleep paralysis so that you can go to a dream world in a simultaneous existence, bilocated existence, trilocated existence, septuple located existence, to have a simultaneous septuple experience or whatever uples experiences you're meant to have. So the dream, separate than the out-of-body, is a master hydra of all these different experiences that add up to one master memory-based experience that's a dream that may or may not be aware of the I am when you wake up. Because dreams resolve great, great volumes of energy.
I just have one more question about outer body experiences.
Okay.
So I've been finding myself sort of dreaming a lot, vivid dreams at least recently, and also having what I think are outer body experiences, but I just wanted to ask you what you thought. You know, I sort of feel like a magnetic field over me, and I start vibrating, or my light body starts vibrating. I don't know if I'm vibrating myself. And then I feel like I sort of levitate, and then recently I've been sort of spinning and turning, and then I end up either experiencing a different kind of place, or I see visions, I see things. What is that about? That's
actually all of the experiences happening at once, and your body can't figure out which one to use.
Okay, and is there a way?
No, I run into this all the time for people who are trying to too much control their experience.
Okay.
So you got to pick one. You can't have them all at once. You can't have all the cakes and the pies, eat it too, and remember it. Yeah.
Okay, so if I pick one, you meaning intention, when I say, I set my intention that I would like to go to the dream world, or I would, I mean, I usually don't intend to have an outer body experience.
No, there's
so,
some part of you that is seeking and craving the mystical experience that's doing this. There is a program inside of you that's creating the soup for this, an excited soup.
Okay, so is that a bad thing or a good thing?
It's both. It's
Okay.
both. It's a good thing because it's driving your hologram forward to experience. The bad part is you're a chef with too many pots and pans. Eventually you're going to grab onto a pot or a pan that's got a hot handle and it's going to burn you, or you're going to grab a pot and a pan that hasn't been washed yet and start cooking with it again. You're doing you're juggling too many balls and spinning too many plates.
Okay.
So how often are you trying to meditate and help yourself each day? Are you like really into it?
I meditate every day. Yes, I try to at least.
How long at a time?
At least an hour. But I also do some healing work, so I end up, even if I'm not meditating, I end up in a meditative state. At least, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just during those sessions.
Part of you is craving to have more and more and more mystical experiences.
Yes.
Craving. And you got to figure out how to feed that craving without, grabbing the hot end of the pot. Okay? So intention is one thing. Yes, choose to use dream world. I want to have a dream first versus I want an out-of-body experience. First thing I say is let go of out-of-body experience as a need right now. It costs way too much energy on you. It could take you in your current state a year to build up enough energy to have one out-of-body experience that has one little tiny superluminal memory to it. Tiny. It may be the great fuel for the next year or two, but literally you'll burn yourself out. So many people demand, I want my out-of-body experience. And I'm like, it's not an instant gratification experience. You can't just slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, and have an out-of-body experience. So why don't you look at astral projection? That's a much easier investment of energy. And what is astral projection? You're projecting your thoughts, your concepts to observe a place in space-time. So what I like to do is go and leave crystals or objects in forests that I regularly walk. And when I go back to my place of power, I begin to astrally project back to where those crystals are. And I stand 5, 10 feet away and I look. And I look night or day. And that's my goal. If I have, 20 crystals spread around the next, 200 miles around my house, that's my grid that I go and look.
Security grid.
Yeah, it's my security grid. And then I have my grids outside my house. Let's say I'm in my bed and I want to go to the end of my driveway. I can. That's something you've got to figure out for your own individual strategy. And then when it comes to dreaming itself, well, this is where you've got to create some form of ceremony and ritual to engage the dreaming body so that when you get into the car, because the dreaming body is like a car. You open the door, you get inside, and you have superluminal travel available to you and all this data input that's coming to you, and you can simultaneously exist, not just in that car. Okay? So what you really need is a dream experience you can remember. Have you gotten the advanced heart meditation?
Yes, I just did, actually. But I think I listened to it a day or two ago, and then I fell asleep while I was listening to it.
That's actually a good thing.
And then I actually had a dream of you, I think. This was 2 nights ago, where you were helping my family and I piece together some kind of puzzle. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, that was, and I've been dreaming a lot lately. Yeah, so one of them was about, where you were helping us piece a puzzle together. And the night before, I had a dream of what I call an outer body experience. Like, I'm not sure if I'm referring to something else, but I just don't know the terminology. But it's sort of when I have these vibrations and convulsions and breathing patterns. And so I was having one of those in the back of the car, and I kind of felt a little bit scared and anxious. And and I've been having other experiences where I go into a vortex, and this is not a dream because, I know I'm having this experience, and I end up somewhere. And usually, in the past, it's been in very beautiful experiences and very blissful places. And lately, I've been sort of ending up in these sort of dark places. And I'm just wondering what happened, or what it is that I'm...
Too many pots. Grabbed a dirty pot. You grabbed a dirty pot, like I was describing before. You're a chef with all these pots and pans, and you grabbed a pan that was dirty and began an experience that was light that began dark, that then turned into dark.
Okay, so does that have to do with being in the astral plane? Or, I mean...
You're not even ready to understand the difference between the two.
Yeah, no, see, that's what I'm trying to understand. Where am I going? Why am I going?
But the goal is, why are you projecting yourself there?
I don't even know that I am.
This is what I was saying before. You are, and you don't even realize it. Because something's going on in your life that's driving you to have these experiences.
Right.
Okay? You got to take command of the life here. Okay? If you don't take command of this expression, it's going to continue to run and run and run you until you're run ragged and you're unable to do anything at all. So my real advice here is to stop a significant portion of the spiritual practices and switch to something else for a couple weeks.
Okay. And would the revocations also help?
Yes, the revocations will help, as well as using the heart meditation to take command of the reality, because you can imprint into the very marrow of your bones and the blood that is produced every 56 days, deep grounding, deep rejuvenation, deep dream worlds that heal and nurture you, a rejection of the negatives, so you can calibrate yourself to this version of space-time.
Yes.
Okay? And then the Sanctuary of All Souls, you should also get that. Probably the 3rd or the 4th email after you sign up for Living the Mystical Life Daily.
Okay.
That will be the other one that you want to do. And those are the types of visualization journeys you should do.
Okay.
And if you sign up for the course, the 6-week course, you'll get other vision journeys to take, such as what Sean was talking about before, how to hold 2 visions. So you naturally have those abilities, and your body and your spirit knows it, and there's something inside you that's driving forward to get this experience now, 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 now. But that's still an instant gratification program in you. And you don't even know where it is in your body.
No.
But I really think if you searched, you would realize it came from your parents. All of your instant gratification programs came from your parents, how they gratified themselves, how they viewed spirituality or didn't view spirituality.
Interesting.
All right, darling, I must move on. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you very much.
Right. Do we have Ryan here?
Yes.
All right. Let me bring Ryan in. There he is, live from the movie set.
Hello.
Hello.
Great
Thank
to
you.
see you.
All right, everyone. This is Ryan. He was at Living the Mystical Life Daily live event. So what's something you'd like to share?
Well, not only the people, but just the whole experience of this event is something I've never experienced.
Yeah.
The Union and Communion Consciousness Strike, it seemed to... This was an apex of the teaching. This was where people come together and do it. And then you teach about maintaining it day to day. And you speak about the 8th color and the 4th option. Like there's positive, negative, neutral, and then there's a 4th option.
A 4th option. And a 5th, and a 6th, and a 7th, when we begin to perceive it.
And I was just thinking on the way over here, you know, no one's really manifested the 8th color reality or the 4th option, but this event and the actual union and communion consciousness strike, creating the bubble of that, with the other little bubbles of each person being the center point of that union and communion consciousness strike, where you're cutting off all DNA port relations with
everything.
Yeah, so that means contrast control for expansion, like positive, negative, good and bad, positive, negative, neutral, those three choices, you know. This is something totally new.
Mm-hmm. It's the way to perceive the eighth color through all perception, because the whole consciousness strike itself takes all the teachings that are in Living the Mystical Life Daily, all the meditation teachings, and then puts it into a 19-page pattern recognition system for you, which is your ignition to spiritual locomotion. Yes. So what were some of your unique experiences at the event?
There was a lot of off the bat synchronicities would happen of whatever mindset you were in, you would see. But I noticed the raising of the vibration whenever you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and crank it up a little bit. And it was cranking my heart, which was the connection to the whole room and everyone in there. And there would just be like, okay, we're already at a high energy level, and then it's just like the water kind of raised, or the vibration just raised, where people were having these things coming up, and they would have these side tangents of, I have to go, this thing's happening, this thing's happening, and then they'd clear it out of the way, and then they'd so the actual raising of the vibration, how that felt was seems like I was closer to the Akashic understanding, the sacred neutral, without being so torn to go back to some programs of duality or dualism, any self-sabotage programs. I was able to raise myself to see above them.
You were at the first year's event, and you've been practicing for quite some time. So raising your internal frequency, you understand that was the core to those teachings, so that you can perceive the data coming in.
Exactly, because that stuff's coming at all times.
Yeah.
But if we're at that low state, then
you can't see it.
It's going to be just there. I'm identifying with this. I don't know how to raise my vibration. I don't do the due diligence of practice and creating that bubble and manifesting more, and until you do. And what you're offering is that name it to claim it. This is how you do it. You're going to do it. There's a choice to not do it. There's a choice of, you can put this much in, you can put this much in, and you will get back
what you put into it. Yeah, the AAA sticker.
You can get a AAA sticker.
That was one of the jokes I had. For those who want to go for the sticker, the A+ and the scratch and stiff sticker, you'll do XX and X during the process. And there was a lot of jokes that were made of that. And I believe we came up with the term GHD.
Yeah, the GHD. Some people had a GHD.
Yeah, that have put the time, effort, and energy into understanding the techniques. So these new techniques compared to last year, how would you like to what would you like to say about them?
I also noticed the animal teachings interlinked as well, which is very strong for me too. The connection to the animals, and when you were doing that whale song, you were passing the mic while people were reading this revocation connection with whales. Yeah, and it was people doing their own whale song, and then they do their own whale song.
Their own whale song. Yep. You caught the pattern.
And as well as the animal teachings and things like that. This one, it's clear-cut, kind of lays it out to where it's a practical way for you to release layers that were fraud.
Yeah, fraud layers. Yeah.
That I was using to hold myself back.
Like the spider teachings, learning how to walk the webs in the auditing your dream weave. Yeah, and then the shaman's death and the greater experience on it.
Yes, you have to die.
Yes.
You have to shed the skins and not adorn them again once you shed them, if they no longer serve you.
Yes, otherwise you are just a flesh wearer of something else.
I identify with this flesh. So
Yes.
I liked how I looked at that time. I can't let it go. But
Yeah.
the shaman's death is the teaching of the now. Like how you say.
Exactly. So, of the 4-day event compared to the 2-day event from the year before, what would you add to that?
This was the first one. You could say this one had a lot more context, but this had a whole rift, a whole different multidimensional rift that was just endless potential. You were here creating the unlimited point of view and giving it out there so that you can emanate that unlimited point of view in your own signature frequency.
In a pop-up bubble dimension inside a hotel in Seattle. Yes. It was a challenge.
There's like a medical conference across the hall, or military. And last year it was more of the time of then as well. That was even before you even wrote the consciousness strike.
Yep.
That one was more of accessing the mystical, that it is there at all times, that I do have things that are fried that I can let go of through these teachings as well.
Like the dream world clearing.
Yes.
That one's huge for everyone when you realize the foundational experiences you're changing in yourself.
Yeah, some people dream and they think that it's a dream and that they're not traveling and that this is separate from my reality. And then last year you also had the advanced heart meditation, which was amazing. I did that with the person I roomed with, and we had a very intense clearing she had with herself and releasing physical mucus, from doing the heart meditation. And it was connected to her parents as well.
When you have those visceral actions coming forth, you know that healing is coming out at the deepest of layers.
It's like name it to claim it with
literally
throwing
it up. Exactly. Vomit to claim it. That's ayahuasca.
and I liked also the lightheartedness through the whole way, and the the jokes as well, because it's so important. If you're wanting to neutralize polarity, then humor is that the great neutralizer that's built into the reality.
Literally built into the reality. There isn't anything you can beat in this reality with a good joke. Thus, why Bob made a manifestation. What was your experience with Bob?
I came in not at the time. He was already out there on stage. He was already center stage when I came in, and I was just impressed by his energy. I was caught off guard that you brought him out and you were doing the joke. And
the light worker jokes, yep.
Yeah, there were some bad ones. No one got Bob's $20 because he had the best joke. I thought that was great as well. But it seemed like a well thought out plan of when to raise the vibration, lower the vibration.
When to use comedy to change everything, mix up the deck. We've all had those games of Uno where you play over and over and over again, and the deck doesn't get mixed enough. You're like, hey, I know this pattern.
Yeah, so you also you knew when to shuffle the deck, and I loved the speakers also. That was a great add-in.
Yeah, let's talk about the speakers. Which ones would you really like?
Albert Mulligan, he's a great guy. I mean, I've got to speak with him later too. He's really smart, but he comes at it from a totally different setting and angle. He came at it and he was working with Chevron, some oil company. He's on the other end of this spectrum, and then he's now working with Stones and pretty much the opposite end of the spectrum. And you also had Jin and
Ben,
and they're saying you could turn a curse into a blessing.
Blessing and a curse. Every blessing is a curse. Every curse is a blessing. Yeah.
Exactly, and that was Albert. That was his story. He did the same thing, and he came at it from that way, and he's learned so much from that angle, and then he flips it to do what he wants to do now, and stand for what he wants to do now, emanate what he wants now, which is you learn a lot of things if you're working in an oil company.
Yes.
And then I also liked Robert Kindle and as an incorporation with the villain. You know, no one wants to be the villain, but the villain, they're the ones who are making all the changes. If there's just a victim and a villain, you know, the villain's the hero.
Exactly. Without the villain, it's a boring ass life.
Batman would do nothing. He would just be driving around in his awesome car, kind of like Dave. You know? But yeah, those and there was a great timing when they came in too, and then everything seemed planned out in a random way too. That worked perfectly.
Everything was by design chaos. Why? Because I'm raising your frequency so your precognitive cells can't determine what frequency I'm going to do next. It's mixing the deck every time. So when I bring Albert out the first day, it's to set up something that is your energy, because when I get back on stage, I'm going to give you a different frequency. When you have Robert Kendall on, who's bringing pragmatism and the villain and all of his personal story into business, you know, because a lot of people in the community, they run businesses, but they don't have any business skills, or they want to be spiritual with all these business skills, or they want to be, they're super spiritual people with zero business skills, okay? Zero life skills at that too. And then when you bring Ben and Jen Rode in, you have all of these different formats where what is the biggest failure for light workers? Relationships, business. Okay, that's exactly why all of those speakers were on the stage. The most major issues: relationships, business, and I want crystals. Okay, that's the light worker fetish industry. So having those people on there really made a big difference for people processing. It wasn't chewing on my high frequency 1,000 gram protein, you know, power bar the whole time. Got a little bit of mashed potato, a little bit of potato salad instead of the big protein bar.
Yeah, and that was great. You know, it's a lot easier to digest overall.
Yeah. So anything else you'd like to add for everyone?
This union and communion consciousness strike changed my whole life since I began putting myself into it. But so has the revocations and a lot, all the work that you're putting out. If you put yourself into it, you can be Andrew. I mean, you can do what you're doing.
That's what I say. Anyone can do what I can do. Time, effort, and energy. How did you begin with the revocations? How did you come across all the teachings?
Well, in 2013, I was working at a call center job, and I'm not sure what happened, but at one point I just found a video that says Hollow Earth filmed, you know, and it was just supposed to be from the Russian spaceship into Hollow Earth, and just something triggered in me, seeing that the Earth is hollow, you know, even if it's just the concept, and then I'm looking at that hole, and it's like, it looks legit and stuff. So I just went on the internet and started researching different things, finding, you know, Olaf Jensen, all these different stories about it. And then I came across your teaching, and I watched, I think it was like part 3 of the interview with Lance White. And I just had to watch that.
The whole thing.
Yeah, and I had to watch that same one over and over and over a few times, and then I quit my job, honestly, 'cause I was done with my job, and I watched them all, and I had been following you throughout you with New Earth Nation and the you know, Rod Class and Sovereignty.
You mean the whole gambit? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's. Yeah, the whole time I've been here with you, and I've been expanding too in my own process. And, you know, and there's times that, you know, I wouldn't be listening to you, you know. Yeah. But still, these teachings they're in no time, and they ring through no time, you know, all the time. So you can go back to them.
In no time.
To no time. Yeah,
exactly.
It's how you do that deprogramming and derooting of that fraud that we consented to create. And that's for that cosmic ascension machine that's balancing out of the karma that we all agreed to partake in and come here and do. and you're like, I see it, and here's some ways to help out. You know,
Exactly. Here's a way to perceive, understand, so when you do take an action, that it doesn't have a reaction from a system that says you can take no action. That's the big advantage of the consciousness strike. Doing an action that has no consequence or reaction from a system that doesn't want you in action. Once you start cutting the cords to the system, saying 0x energy exchange in any place that I simultaneously exist, you have its attention, because it can only do it if you approve it in any way, shape, or form. And when you start eliminating all of the common and uncommon and rare and super rare ways that it entangles with you, until there's nothing literally here other than the fact that we share roads and cars, okay? They can't function in your life if you don't allow them in. Okay? And it's all based on perception. How is would you say your perception has changed from the call center days to today? Would you give it a change in percentage? Thousands?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, that I've done many sheddings since then, and I'm nothing like that person I was then. Mm-hmm. I have turned up all my dials. And then got to a point where I had to look at myself. Mm-hmm. And I had to look at what I was still holding on to, holding me back, holding myself back. You know, I've had to shed the tears. Because that's
part of the process.
Important.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. You had to write the chronicles of who you were, who you are, and who you're going to be.
Yeah, and you saying, you know, if you're not journaling, you're faking it. That, you know, I'm like, that hits me, yeah. You know? I don't want to fake it.
Right.
I don't want to fake it for myself.
Right. So how was the challenge for journaling for you?
It still was hard. It's still hard, honestly. I still say I don't write enough as I want to be writing, but I still,
what is enough writing for you?
At least some creation every day. Be able to free flow it whenever it comes, and also make sure I write stuff down whenever I have a experience.
Right. So for those out there who have also been greatly affected by, if you're not chronicling, you're faking it, minimum D- at the teacher score level is just writing stuff down as it goes. You want to go for the A+ and the sticker, you got to start doing what Ryan was saying. Get enough skill set built inside you so if you write one paragraph a day that it's pure flow and you like it. Without repetition. Sometimes, you know, you need to use repetition of writing to create new frequencies. And that's what the contract revocations do, is you begin to repeat, aha, aha. Layer upon layer upon layer of yourself is revealed, as well as the technique of the revocation.
And you can use the technique?
Yes, as the revocation itself. That's the uniqueness of the system. We're in this out loud, name it to claim it process. What would you like to add about the out loud, name it to claim it process, how you use it and how you've adapted to it?
Well, one of the biggest, you know, when I put my foot in the door, one of the biggest things happening was when I was reading the contract revocation for the sacred feminine. And then I would just get to points where I would just
bawl in tears, yeah.
Whole face, you know, like I am good enough. You know, that part hit me a lot hard, and it would be, anytime I would read it, it would you know, spark the tears. And I created I would, you know, record them and then listen to them later, and then it's kind of like it gets it second nature to where I can like recite them without even thinking about it, and I can also change them up easily once I have the free flow of the teachings signature, like what it's representing.
Yeah.
And it's great to do free flow.
Absolutely great to do free flow. When you get into that free flow state, you're allowing left brain and right brain to work together. Creativity with the repetition's potency behind it.
It's like, no, say this,
yeah.
no, don't say that, yeah. And then you're just like, okay. You get to a point where they're like saying the same thing, and they're like, okay, we can say this now.
That's why I begin a lot of them with I in the ever-present moment of now. Choose to form a spiritual chord, multidimensional spiritual chord of equity for X, 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 and X reasons. And then from there it's flow. Flow for what? Familiarity with the context of the material. As I was saying, you know, in the beginning of the show, context is everything. Without context, how can you understand the reality? Your mind will just fill in the blanks over and over and over again, and it'll use theory and supposition with no proof behind it.
It's the set and setting for
it.
And
then after a while, placebo takes over, and you begin to get lost to your own truths that are falsities that you believe are true. And it may take a decade or a century for you to learn false concepts that you supported.
Purely placebo.
Purely placebo. And that's what a lot of life review is about. I have been a part of so many life reviews, you know, from readings and sessions and people passing on when I was working with the hospice. But life review is to understand what was placebo and what was really you. And when the placebo was working with you, those are the great moments of manifestation, where you learn how to ride the placebo dragon, okay, to make your manifestation. And that's what I see living the mystical life daily from a mechanical point of view, is learning how to ride that placebo dragon with the real dragon inside you to hypercreate and outcreate the system that's around you that is still operating at 19.6 baud download rate, and we're at 50 terahertz upload. Okay? We're that fast and that potent of being, and this system down there has just got us trapped in an infrastructure of distraction, a global infrastructure.
Yeah.
How have you been dealing with distraction itself?
I have fine-tuned a skill to focus and enjoy the thing I'm focusing on. I could look at a rock. And use that to, whenever I'm, you know, full of these things that I don't want to be distracted with, I could just go have a walk, go find a rock, go follow my, wherever I'm led to. You know, this time is dedicated to dissolve the distraction so that when I come back, they're not going to be so loud and maybe they won't even be there because I've dedicated time. Also, I have a lightheartedness to me at all the time. So distractions can't be that serious. If nothing in my life can be dead serious.
But at one point they were dead serious.
Yes.
And the detoxification from that was the hard part. And that's where the revocations really helped.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Getting yourself off the nipple of distraction. Got to have the iPhone. Got to go to the first showing of the Avengers. Got to do this. Got to do that. Got to have a 21st birthday party where you get drunk. Got to have this. Got to have that. Gotta. And never understand what your needs are.
And that's that. Also the imbalance in both parasympathetic, sympathetic.
Exactly.
Non-reaction.
Yeah. How there's the tug of war between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, and how after a while the parasympathetic becomes the bully and beats up the sympathetic with emotions, and the sympathetic's like, me, I can't do nothing, and then the parasympathetic, rah, I own the body now. Okay? Or the other way around, the sympathetic dumps so much emotion on the parasympathetic, it's like the parasympathetic can only operate in the dream world, and that's where shadow appears. Where your selves are so diametrically opposed that you don't realize you have two diametrically opposed forces and points of view and ideologies that are programs in your system that when you're unaware are doing things in your unawareness.
So it's like a precognitive
battle between the two sides, yeah. And after a while, that's what makes the perfect ground for entities to be present. Because they're like, the soul will never know if I step in and pretend to be the parasympathetic or sympathetic and change the tug of war, and one day one wins when it's not supposed to.
And where were you?
Exactly, and where were you? Yeah, you were out daydreaming. Yeah, exactly.
You left the entity some space.
Yeah, you were out daydreaming and allowing the world to run it for you.
Which is exactly what we strike with.
Exactly.
The world running it, our world for us.
Right. And we don't want to have a world of awake people ruling sleeping people who are awake, telling us that we're asleep when we're awake, and turning the world upside down and inside out and changing the reality and the reality rules without telling us. Yeah, that's deception for deception's sake. We can no longer allow ourselves to be deceived by public consciousness, or that what I call the global infrastructure of news and media that ultimately is the global narrative that we all accept. Yeah. You know, you've heard me say over and over again, nothing is happening tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the RV's not coming, the aliens ain't happening, gold isn't going to drop, the stock market's not going to crash, so on and so forth. Why? Nothing changes the global narrative of belief other than earthquakes and hurricanes. Okay? So to have a man-made viral event of consciousness, you need a disaster around it. And this is why they like to promote disasters, to create fear and harvest energy.
Yeah, exactly. At those certain times of those spikes in the consciousness.
That's right. Then they go, all right, we got to get the milking cows out. And you're all the cows. Okay? And they come by your house or your dream worlds and milk you dry until the next big consciousness spike. As the gunshot in the back. Neighborhood talking. System's bad. All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for watching the show. I want to thank all the guests that came here. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.